The clock on the phone is about to change. It's 4:59 p.m. The world outside the office window is still there. 1 minute, Alex is looking at the last golden sunlight hitting the skyscrapers of downtown Denver. The next, it hits 5, and it's like someone flipped a switch. The world just disappears. The sky isn't even dark blue. It's a thick, inky black. The only lights are the cold, white squares of other office windows and the red tail lights of cars already clogging the streets below. Alex feels it in his stomach, a sudden, heavy drop. It's Monday, October 27th, 2025. Daylight saving time ended yesterday. And just like that, the dark night begins. This isn't just, it's a feeling, a shift in the air, a sense of stagnation and demotivation that seems to arrive with the early darkness. Maybe you know the feeling. The year feels like it's winding down, and with it, so do our ambitions. Just about the time changing. He leans back in his chair, the synthetic fabric creaking under his weight. The screen lights up, casting a cool blue. The office has that weird post-5 p.m. silence. It's not peaceful, it's empty. You can hear the hum of the printer down the hallway, the distant ping of an elevator. It's the sound of a day ending too soon. On his computer screen, a PowerPoint slide is frozen. The title reads, Q4 Goals and Strategy. He hasn't touched it since the meeting 3 weeks ago. It just sits there, a digital monument to his good intentions. He glances at a small widget on his desktop. The little animated progress bar next to Personal Development Project is at a solid mocking 15%. He was supposed to be halfway done by now. His phone buzzes on the desk, blue glow on his tired face. He just swipes it away. It's a notification from a travel app. Only 42 days until Thanksgiving. Dreaming of a getaway? Below it is a picture of a pristine beach he'd saved back in January, when the year felt full of promise and endless possibility. A second later, another notification pops up. This one is from his fitness app. Weekly report, 0 active minutes. Ready to get back on track. He doesn't swipe this one. He just stares. The blue light makes his eyes feel dry. He can hear his own breathing, a little shallow, a little tight in his chest. This is the feeling. This is the exact moment it happens every single year. The great surrender. The silent agreement he makes with himself that the big push is over, that it's time to just get through it. The commute home is a tunnel of shadow. His car smells like old coffee, and the pine-scented air freshener he has been meaning to change for weeks. The rain starts, not a real storm, but a fine, misty drizzle that smears the streetlights into glowing streaks across his windshield. The wipers squeak on the glass, a grating, rhythmic sound that matches the rhythm of his thoughts. Go home, eat, sleep, repeat. He drives past his gym. The bright orange sign glows in the dark, and through the big glass window he can see 2 or 3 people moving on the treadmills, their forms silhouetted against the bright interior. He thinks about the $70 monthly fee that will leave his bank account tomorrow. He thinks about the new running shoes, still in the box in his closet, untouched since he bought them with a surge of summer motivation. Tomorrow, he mutters to himself. The word tastes stale, like a promise he's already broken 100 times. His apartment is dark. It smells faintly of the Chinese takeout from 2 nights ago. He flicks the light switch and the harsh overhead bulb makes him squint. He drops his keys into a ceramic bowl by the door, a soft clink, and the sound is so lonely it seems to echo in the quiet space. This is the part of the day where the goals of the morning feel like a distant dream. He doesn't cook. He opens the fridge, and the cold air hits him. He sees a wilting bag of spinach, a collection of condiments, and some leftovers he can't quite identify. He closes the door. Defeated, he orders a burger and fries on his phone, tapping the screen with a dull sense of inevitability. It's easy. It requires nothing of him. While he waits for the delivery, he collapses onto the couch. The cushions sigh, enveloping him. He turns on the TV, but he doesn't really watch it. The images and sounds are just noise to fill the silence. He opens his laptop. That Q4 goals slide is still there, staring back at him. He opens another tab. His notes for the online course he bought in August, Digital Marketing Mastery, are still there. A digital ghost. He'd been so excited about that course. He was going to build a small freelance business by the new year. He had visions of setting his own hours, of building something for himself. He clicked through the first 2 modules with genuine enthusiasm. Then work got busy. Then a friend visited for a weekend. Then it just got hard to remember why he started. The momentum was gone. He pulls out his phone again. His thumb moves on its own. A reflex. Scroll. A video of a puppy chasing its tail. Scroll. A friend from college is on a beach in Mexico, smiling, holding a margarita. Scroll. A complicated-looking recipe for a pasta dish he'll never make. Scroll. The light from the screen is the brightest thing in the room. It's 8:17 p.m. He looks at the time. He's been scrolling for 38 minutes. He feels a tightness in his chest, a low-grade anxiety humming just under his skin. He's tired, but not the good kind of tired you feel after a long run or a productive day. He's restless and drained at the same time. This is the before picture. This isn't a story of some dramatic failure. It's a quiet, nightly fading away. It's the story of small defeats that add up. It's the gym bag by the door that you stop seeing. It just becomes part of the furniture. It's the vision board on the bedroom wall that becomes wallpaper. It's images of success blurring into the background. It's the conversation you already start rehearsing in your head for the upcoming Thanksgiving dinner. He can already hear his Aunt Linda's voice, cheerful and a little too loud. "So, Alex, still at the tech company? Anything new and exciting going on?" And he knows what he'll do. He'll smile, take a sip of wine, and give the same answer he's given for the last 3 years. Oh, you know, same old grind, just keeping busy. He'll push the words out, hoping they sound light, hoping no one hears the hollow ring inside them. The lie isn't what he'll tell his family. The lie is what he's starting to believe right now. On this dark couch, in this quiet apartment. The lie is that the year is over, that once the clocks fall back, something switches off. Not just in the sky, but in him. That the time between Halloween and New Year's is just a blurry waiting room. A dark night for hibernation, not for action. A time to survive, not a time to build. He thinks about the 42 days until Thanksgiving. It feels like a deadline for disappointment, a countdown to confirming that once again, nothing has really changed. But what if he's looking at it all wrong? What if this entire narrative, this story he tells himself every year, is the very thing holding him back? His food arrives. The delivery driver hands him the bag, which is warm and greasy in his hands. He takes it to the couch, the paper rustling loudly in the silent room. As he unwraps the burger, a single, powerful question pops into his head, uninvited. It's not a gentle question. It's uncomfortable. It stings a little. What if the most important 21 days of your entire year aren't in shiny, resolution-filled January, but are hiding right here, in the dark, quiet days before everyone carves the turkey? What if this dark night isn't an end, but an opportunity, an invitation to build in silence, so you have something to celebrate when the lights come back on? What if the story of the end of the year isn't written yet? Thanks for watching. If this story resonated with you, let me know in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe for more. Have you ever felt it? That slow, creeping shadow that arrives with November. It's more than just the shorter days or the colder air. It's a weight, a quiet dimming of the light inside. For years, I called it the dark night, a time when my own energy seemed to retreat with the sun, leaving me feeling like a stranger in my own skin. I remember one particular November. I was living with my roommate, Alex. Alex was like a human sunbeam for most of the year, always planning hikes, organizing game nights, his laughter echoing through our apartment. But when November hit, it was like someone flipped a switch. He'd come home from work, drop his bag, and just sink into the couch, scrolling endlessly on his phone. The vibrant energy was gone, replaced by a heavy silence. I wasn't much better. My creative projects, the ones that usually filled me with excitement, now felt like impossible mountains to climb. I'd stare at a blank page for hours, the words just refusing to come. We'd look at each other across the living room, two ghosts, haunting our own home, trapped in a shared, unspoken gloom. We'd joke about it, calling ourselves solar-powered humans running on empty. But the joke was wearing thin. One evening, Alex looked up from his phone, his face illuminated by the cold blue light. "I hate this," he said, his voice flat. "I hate feeling like this. It's like I'm not even me anymore. I'm just November Alex." That hit me hard. November Alex. I was November Sarah. We had let a month define us, dictate our moods, and steal our identities. We had accepted this seasonal retreat as an unchangeable fact of our lives. But was it? Was this really all there was to it? Just waiting for the light to return in spring. That night, something shifted. We decided we were done being passive victims of the calendar. We weren't going to wait for the light. We were going to create our own. Our first small act of rebellion was simple. We bought a ridiculously bright, full-spectrum lamp. We called it the sun. Every morning we'd have our coffee in front of it, basking in its artificial glow. It sounds silly, but it was a start. It was a conscious choice to fight back. Then we made a pact. Every day we had to do one thing that felt like us, not our November selves. It didn't have to be big. For Alex, it was putting on his favorite upbeat playlist and dancing in the kitchen for 5 minutes while making breakfast. For me, it was writing just one sentence. Just one. Sometimes that sentence was terrible, but it didn't matter. The point was the action, the defiance against the inertia. We started forcing ourselves out of the apartment, even when it was the last thing we wanted to do. We went for short, brisk walks in the cold. We discovered the strange beauty of the city at dusk, the way the streetlights cast long, dramatic shadows. We found a cozy cafe with warm lighting and even warmer soup. We started talking, really talking, not just about the weather or work, but about what we were feeling. Acknowledging the struggle out loud took away some of its power. Slowly, almost imperceptibly at first, things began to change. The weight didn't vanish overnight, but it felt lighter. There were still hard days, days when the couch felt like a magnet, but they were punctuated by moments of light. We started a small wins jar. Alex landed a new client at work. I finished a short story. We cooked an elaborate meal together, something we hadn't done in months. Each little victory slip in the jar was a testament to our effort, a tangible reminder that we were more than the darkness. One evening, near the end of the month, we were sitting in the living room. The sun lamp was off. The room was dim, lit only by a small table lamp. But the atmosphere was different. It wasn't heavy anymore. It was peaceful. Alex was sketching in a notebook, something he hadn't done since summer. I was reading a book, fully absorbed. He looked up and smiled, a real, genuine smile. "You know," he said, "I don't think I'm November Alex anymore. I'm just Alex, who happens to be living in November." And that was it. That was the freedom we had been searching for. We hadn't defeated the darkness. We had learned to live within it. We learned that motivation isn't something you wait for, like a bus. It's something you build, one small, intentional action at a time. It's a fire you have to tend to, especially when it's cold and dark outside. The dark night of November still comes around every year. The days still get shorter, the air still gets colder, but it doesn't hold the same power over me anymore. I no longer see it as a thief that steals my identity. I see it as a reminder to be intentional, a reminder to create my own light, to move my body, to connect with the people I love. A reminder that my identity isn't tied to a season. If you feel that seasonal shadow creeping in, know that you are not alone. And know that you have a choice. You don't have to surrender to the gloom. Start small. Buy a bright lamp. Put on your favorite song. Write one sentence. Go for a 5-minute walk. Call a friend. Each tiny act is a spark. And if you collect enough sparks, you can light up the entire night. You are not your mood. You are not the season. You are the one who chooses to light the fire. Thanks for listening to my story. If this resonated with you, I'd love to hear how you find your light in the darker months. Drop a comment below, and don't forget to subscribe for more reflections like this. Take care. What if he didn't have to wait for a new season to become a new person? What if the person he wants to be, the organized, fit, side-hustling guy, could be built right here, in the quietest, darkest part of the year? Not with a loud, shiny New Year's resolution, but with a secret, consistent effort that no one else sees coming. He looks at his couch. The blanket is there. The remote is right on the cushion. The den is ready for him to hibernate. But for the first time, it looks less like a cozy nest and more like a trap he built for himself. The comfort is starting to feel uncomfortable. The villain, that false belief, is whispering again. It's too hard. Start in January. Everyone else is resting. But that new voice, the one that asked, "What if?" is a little quieter. It's also a little stronger. It doesn't ask him to run a marathon. It just asks one simple, terrifying question. If it's not about waiting for motivation to strike, then what's the very first physical move you make to break the pattern? How do you even start when everything in you and around you is saying, sleep? The alarm on Alex's phone goes off at 6:57 p.m. It's not his normal ringtone. It's a single, clear piano note that hangs in the air of his Denver apartment. Wednesday, November 5th. The dark night is in full force outside his window, a pure black sheet dotted with the warm yellow squares of other people's windows. He is sitting on his couch. The TV is off. His laptop is closed. In front of him on the coffee table sits two things: a simple, white, unscented candle in a glass jar and a box of matches. That's it. This is the entire plan, the first break. His mind is already screaming at him. This is ridiculous. Lighting a candle? What is this, a meditation app? You have real work to do. You should be checking email. You should be planning your Thanksgiving travel. This is a waste of time. The voice is so loud, so persuasive. It sounds like reason. It sounds like productivity. He feels a physical resistance. His shoulders are tight. His hand doesn't want to reach for the matches. It feels easier, so much easier, to just pick up the remote control instead. to let the noise of the world flood in and drown out this quiet, awkward moment. He can almost feel the soft weight of the blanket, the comfortable numbness of another show. But he thinks about Sarah in Chicago. He thinks about the guilt corner. He thinks about the lie of waiting. So he takes a breath, a short, shallow one, and he picks up the box of matches. The cardboard flap is rough under his thumbnail. He pulls out a single match. It feels tiny and fragile in his fingers. He can smell the faint sulphurous scent of the match head. He holds it against the striker strip on the side of the box. This is the moment. The internal battle is a roar. Just put it down. This is stupid. Nothing is happening. He strikes the match. There's a sharp, crisp scratch that seems incredibly loud in the silent room. A bright, orange-yellow flame bursts to life at the tip of the matchstick, hissing softly. For a second, it's the only moving thing in his entire apartment. The light is warm and alive. It dances, throwing wild, shifting shadows up the walls. He watches it, mesmerized by this tiny, dangerous creation in his own hand. He leans forward and touches the flame to the candle's wick. It takes a second. The wick blackens, curls, and then it catches. A second, smaller, steadier flame is born. He shakes out the match, and a thin curl of blue-gray smoke rises, carrying that distinct, spent match smell. He places the burned match in a little ceramic dish he'd put there earlier. He sits back, and he just looks. The candle flame doesn't flicker wildly now. It's a calm, teardrop-shaped point of light. It makes the glass jar around it glow. It creates a small warm pool of light on the dark wood of the coffee table. Outside, the world is cold and black. In here, there is this one, small, defiant fire. He sets the timer on his phone for 3 minutes. 3 us. It starts counting down. 2:59, 2:58. His job for these 3 minutes is to do nothing, not to plan, not to work, not to achieve, just to sit with the candle, to show up. That's the whole victory. The first minute is agony. His brain is a swarm of thoughts. Did I pay that credit card bill? What am I going to say in the meeting tomorrow? I should be doing something useful. He shifts on the couch. The leather creaks. He glances at the timer. 2:11. But then something shifts. The flame is just so steady. It doesn't rush. It doesn't stress. It just burns, using exactly what it has right in front of it. He watches the very tip of the wick, a tiny red ember within the blue base of the flame. He never noticed that before. The room feels different. The darkness isn't oppressive anymore. It's just a backdrop for this little light. The silence isn't empty. It's spacious. He takes a deeper breath. He can smell the clean, faintly waxy scent of the hot candle. He hears the soft, almost imperceptible crackle of the burning wick. The timer buzzes. 3 minutes are up. The ritual isn't over. The final step is just as important. He leans forward, his face now warm from the tiny flame, and he gently blows. The flame bends, flattens, and vanishes. A wisp of white smoke rises from the blackened wick, twisting in the air. The room is dark again, but his eyes are adjusted. The after-image of the flame is still imprinted in his vision. It's done. He didn't open his laptop. He didn't do one push-up. He didn't write a business plan. He lit a candle for 3 minutes and blew it out. Have you ever felt completely stuck? You know you're capable of more. You have dreams, big goals, scribbled on napkins or saved in a notes app, but every single day ends the same way. You get home, you're tired, and you collapse onto the couch. The ambition you felt in the morning is gone, replaced by a quiet, heavy feeling of nothing. The day is over. Another one gone. maybe tomorrow. This is the story of Alex, but it might be your story, too. Alex was in that exact spot, sitting in his dark apartment, feeling the weight of all the things he hadn't done. But one evening, he decided to do something different, something incredibly small. He found a candle and a book of matches. He didn't feel a sudden rush of motivation. It wasn't some huge, life-changing epiphany. It was quieter. At 6:57 p.m., he simply lit the candle. He watched the flame flicker for a few minutes. That was it. He then opened his phone, created a new note titled Dark Night Protocol, and wrote just one sentence. Today, I lit the candle. Notice what he wrote. Not I tried, not I started. He used a verb of action. I lit. This is the microscopic victory that changes everything. Why? Because giant leaps are terrifying. They're overwhelming and unsustainable. You can't build a business in a night. You can't lose 10 pounds before bed. But you can strike a match. In lighting that tiny flame, Alex sent a signal to every dormant dream in his body. The signal was simple. We are not hibernating anymore. This moment, this small, seemingly insignificant action is where 90% of people quit. They dismiss the match because it isn't a spotlight. They want the big dramatic movie montage transformation, and when it doesn't happen instantly, they give up. But by lighting that candle, Alex joined the 5%. The people who understand that you don't start with a bang. You start with a whisper of smoke and a warm glow on your face. You begin. The room was still dark after he blew the candle out, but it felt different. It felt like a space where something was possible. The trap had a tiny crack in it, and fresh air was getting in. But here's the reality check. One candle doesn't win the war. The darkness, the comfortable couch, the tired voice in your head, they all come back tomorrow. The real question isn't about lighting the first flame. It's about lighting the second. How do you turn a tiny spark into something that can actually light your way forward? Let me tell you, that first week of Alex's Dark Night Protocol was messy. It was not a movie montage with inspiring music. It was real life. One Friday, Alex worked late. A project at his tech job crashed, and he didn't get home until almost 9 p.m. He was exhausted. His brain felt like static. He walked into his apartment, dropped his bag, and just stood there. The candle on the shelf looked like a prop from a different life, the life of someone with more time and energy. The voice in his head was so reasonable. You're wiped, it said. Just skip it tonight. One night won't matter. You've earned a break. And for 5 whole minutes, he believed it. He ordered a pizza. He was about to grab the remote. But then he looked at the shelf. He remembered the feeling of that tiny click inside him, the signal he had sent. He remembered that the whole point wasn't about being perfect. It was about not breaking the chain. So, at 9:47 p.m., way past his planned time, he walked over to the shelf. His movements were slow, almost mechanical. He struck the match. The flame sputtered to life. He lit the candle. He set a timer for 3 minutes and just sat there on the floor, in his work clothes, his back against the couch. He had shown up, late, disheveled, and feeling defeated. But he had shown up. The chain was unbroken. This is the daily war. It isn't fought with one grand, heroic gesture. It's fought in 1,000 tiny moments of choice, usually when you're tired, hungry, and completely unconvinced that it even matters. It's in these moments that real change happens. By the second week, a rhythm began to emerge from the mess. His plan started to take shape, built on 2 simple, concrete steps. Step 1 was the 6:57 p.m. signal, the candle, every single night, no matter what. It became the non-negotiable starting line for his evening. Sometimes he was on time, Sometimes he was hours late, but the match was always struck. The signal was always sent. Step 2 was what he called the 7 p.m. surge. This was the hard part. Right after blowing out the candle, Alex would open his laptop and set a cheap kitchen timer for 25 minutes. His task was never some huge, scary goal. It was the most basic, foundational task related to his dream of starting an online business. For him, that was a course called Digital Marketing Mastery. His rule for himself was brutally simple. For those 25 minutes, you must either watch the training videos or take notes. That's it. No checking email, no scrolling social media, no news. You don't even have to enjoy it. You just have to stay in the chair until the timer goes off. The first night of the surge was pure internal rebellion. He just watched the red numbers on the timer tick down, feeling like they were accusing him. He hated the instructor's voice. The information felt overwhelming. He wanted to do anything else, but he stayed. The tick-tick-tick of the timer was the only sound in the room. He honored the agreement he made with himself, and that's the secret. It's not about finding a huge burst of motivation. It's about creating a structure so simple, so small, that you can do it even on your worst days. It's about lighting the candle to signal the start, and then staying in the chair for just 25 minutes. You might be surprised at what can grow from such a tiny, consistent flame. What's the one small flame you could light tonight? Think about it. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for more. I used to think that big changes in life had to come from big, dramatic moments. You know, like a lightning strike of inspiration or some life-altering event. But I found out that's not really how it works. For me, the biggest change started small, almost invisibly, with a simple decision I made one random Tuesday night. My days were chaotic. I was juggling work, family, and what felt like a million other responsibilities. By the time evening rolled around, I was completely drained. My routine was predictable. Slump onto the couch, scroll endlessly through my phone, watch something I wouldn't even remember the next day, and then crawl into bed way too late, feeling anxious about the day to come. I felt stuck in a loop, like I was just a passenger in my own life. I wanted to be more present, more intentional, more me. But I had no idea where to start. That Tuesday, something just snapped. I was tired of being tired. I decided I would do just one thing differently. Just one. I wouldn't try to overhaul my entire life overnight. My goal was simple: create a small 10-minute buffer between my chaotic day and sleep. A little space just for me. So, that night, instead of grabbing my phone, I put it on the charger in another room. That was step 1, and let me tell you, it felt weird. My thumb was literally twitching, looking for a screen to swipe. I walked into the living room and just stood there for a second. What now? I decided to make a cup of decaf tea. Nothing fancy, just a simple chamomile tea bag in a mug. As the water boiled, I just listened to the sound. The whistle of the kettle, the clink of the mug. It was surprisingly calming. I sat down in my favorite chair, not the couch, the one by the window, and just sipped my tea. The first few minutes were a battle. My mind was racing, replaying conversations from work, building my to-do list for tomorrow. It was loud in my head, but I just kept bringing my attention back to the warmth of the mug in my hands, the floral smell of the tea. I told myself, just 10 minutes. After about 5 minutes, something shifted. The mental chatter started to quiet down. I wasn't trying to solve any problems or come up with brilliant ideas. I was just being. I looked out the window at the quiet street. I noticed the way the streetlight cast long shadows. I took a deep breath, and another. When my 10 minutes were up, I felt a strange sense of calm. It wasn't earth-shattering, but it was noticeable. That night, I fell asleep faster than I had in months. I decided to do it again the next night, and the night after that. It became my non-negotiable ritual. Phone away, tea on, 10 minutes of quiet. Some nights were easier than others. Some nights, my brain was a hornet's nest of anxiety. On those nights, I didn't fight it. I just acknowledged the thoughts and let them buzz by, always coming back to the simple act of drinking my tea. After about a week, 10 minutes started to feel too short. I wanted more of this quiet space, so I expanded my ritual. After finishing my tea, I picked up a book. Not a business book or anything I felt I should read, but a novel I'd been wanting to get to for ages. I set a timer for 15 minutes of reading. Suddenly, my evenings weren't just a crash landing from the day. They were something I looked forward to. This small, protected slice of time was mine, and mine alone. It was like building a little fortress of peace in the middle of my busy life. This tiny habit started to have a ripple effect that I never expected. Because I was going to bed calmer, I was sleeping more deeply. Because I was sleeping better, I woke up feeling more rested and less reactive. My mornings, which used to be a frantic rush, became a little smoother. I had more mental energy at work. I was more patient with my family. It was like that nightly reset button was recalibrating my whole system. But the most profound change wasn't just about feeling less stressed. It was about my identity. For years, I had seen myself as this stressed-out, constantly on-the-go guy who was just trying to keep his head above water. My nightly ritual started to change that narrative. As I continued, I added another layer. After reading, I'd take out a simple notebook and a pen. I wasn't a journaling guy. The idea used to make me cringe a little. But I decided to try a simple exercise. I'd write down just one thing that went well that day. Just one. It could be anything. A productive meeting, a funny moment with my kids, or even just enjoying the sunshine on my walk to the car. This practice was a game changer. It forced me to scan my day for positives instead of dwelling on the negatives. Some days it was easy. Other days I really had to search, but there was always something. A good cup of coffee, a song I liked on the radio, a completed task. This simple act of acknowledging the good began to rewire my brain. I started noticing more positive things in real time, not just at the end of the day. My identity was shifting. I was no longer just the stressed-out guy. I was a guy who reads. I was a guy who takes time for himself. I was a guy who practices gratitude. These weren't just things I did. They were becoming a part of who I was. The ritual evolved naturally over a few months. It became about 30-40 minutes long. Put the phone away, make tea, read for 20 minutes, write down one good thing. Then, the final step. I'd write down my single most important task for the next day. Not a whole to-do list, yet just the one thing that if I got it done, would make the day a win. This took away the Sunday scaries on a nightly basis. I no longer went to bed with a vague cloud of anxiety about everything I had to do. I had a clear, single point of focus. I was telling my brain, we've got a plan. You can rest now. And that's the real magic of a ritual. It's not just about the individual habits, the tea, the book, the journal. It's about the signal it sends to your brain. It signals the end of the day's battles. It signals a time for rest and recovery. It creates a clear boundary between the on you and the off you. Looking back, that version of me on the couch, mindlessly scrolling, feels like a different person. And in a way, he is. That person's identity was defined by his exhaustion and his reactions to the world. My identity now is defined by my intentions and the quiet space I've carved out for myself. This journey taught me that you do not build a new identity by waiting for a flash of lightning. You build it brick by brick, habit by habit. You decide who you want to be, and then you start doing the things that person would do, even if it's just for 10 minutes a night. You're not faking it till you make it. You're being it till you become it. Each night when I made my tea, I was casting a vote for a calmer, more intentional version of myself. Each time I picked up my book instead of my phone, I was casting a vote for a more thoughtful self. Each time I wrote down something good, I was casting a vote for a more grateful self. Those votes, cast consistently night after night, added up. They built a new identity. It didn't happen overnight. It was slow. It was quiet. It was a transformation that happened in the calm moments before sleep. So if you feel stuck, or overwhelmed, or like you're just a passenger in your own life, maybe don't try to change everything at once. Just start with one small, intentional act. Create a tiny ritual. Protect it fiercely. It might be 10 minutes of stretching, or listening to a piece of music without distractions, or sketching in a notebook. The act itself is less important than the intention behind it. The intention to create a space for yourself. The intention to signal to your mind and body that it's time to rest. The intention to cast a vote for the person you want to become. It's amazing how the biggest changes in our lives can come from the quietest corners of our day. My nightly ritual didn't just give me better sleep. It gave me a better relationship with myself. It gave me a new identity. And it all started with a simple cup of tea. Thanks so much for watching and letting me share this part of my story with you. If this resonated with you, I'd love to hear about the small rituals that have made a difference in your life. Drop them in the comments below, and if you enjoyed this, please consider subscribing for more videos on intentional living. See you in the next one. Have you ever felt like you're just stuck? Like you have this huge goal, this massive dream, but the path to get there is completely shrouded in fog? You know where you want to go, but you can't see the next step, let alone the finish line. If that sounds familiar, I want you to stick with me, because today we're talking about the most powerful secret weapon you have: building in the dark. This isn't about grand gestures or overnight success. This is about the quiet, unseen work. The small, consistent actions you take when no one is watching, when there's no applause, and when even you can't see the immediate results. This is the story of the Dark Night Sprint. Let's imagine someone. We'll call him Alex. At the beginning of November, Alex felt completely overwhelmed. He had a dream to launch his own creative business, but looking at the whole picture was paralyzing. The website, the products, the marketing. It was a mountain. He felt like he was at the bottom, staring up into the clouds with no idea how to even start climbing. The days were getting shorter, the nights longer, and his motivation was at an all-time low. He was lost in the dark. But then, Alex made a decision. Instead of trying to conquer the whole mountain in one go, he decided to just take one single step. He told himself, "I'm not going to worry about the launch. I'm not going to worry about a year from now. I'm just going to focus on tonight." That first night, all he did was open a blank document and write down one idea. Just one. It took him 10 minutes. It felt insignificant, almost pointless. But he did it. The next night, he spent 15 minutes researching a single competitor. The night after that, he sketched a terrible-looking logo on a napkin. Each action was tiny, almost invisible. He was building in the dark, laying one brick at a time, without knowing what the final structure would look like. This is the essence of the Dark Knight sprint. It's a period, maybe a month, maybe two, where you commit to showing up for your goal every single day, no matter how small the action. The Dark Knight isn't a bad thing. It's your sanctuary. It's the time when the world is quiet, the distractions are gone, and it's just you and your ambition. There are no external expectations, no pressure to perform. It's a sprint because it has a defined, short-term focus, which makes it feel manageable. As November went on, Alex's little actions started to stack up. That one idea turned into a list of 10. That competitor research gave him clarity on his own unique angle. That napkin sketch, believe it or not, evolved into a real logo concept. He wasn't seeing a finished business yet, but he could feel something shifting. He was building momentum, like a snowball rolling downhill, getting bigger with every rotation. Then came Thanksgiving, a time for family, food, and reflection. In past years, Alex would often feel a sense of disappointment during the holidays, thinking about all the things he hadn't accomplished. But this year was different. As he sat around the table, he felt a quiet confidence. He hadn't launched his business. He hadn't made a single dollar, but he knew something powerful was happening. He had a secret. For the past few weeks, while everyone else was winding down for the year, he had been quietly, consistently building. He had a foundation. This feeling propelled him into December. The holiday season can be a huge momentum killer for a lot of people. Parties, shopping, travel. It's easy to put your goals on the back burner and say, "I'll start in January." The classic New Year's resolution trap. But Alex saw December differently. He saw it as the final leg of his Dark Knight sprint. He knew that if he could maintain his consistency through the chaos of the holidays, he would enter the new year not at the starting line, but halfway down the track. So he kept going. He chose his actions wisely. Maybe one night it was just 20 minutes of work before a holiday party. Another night it was brainstorming product names while waiting in line at a store. He integrated his sprint into his life, proving to himself that he didn't need perfect conditions to make progress. He just needed commitment. By the end of December, the transformation was incredible. Alex looked back at where he was in early November, lost, overwhelmed, and stagnant. Now he had a clear business plan, a brand identity, a list of product prototypes, and a basic website wireframe. The mountain didn't seem so intimidating anymore. In fact, he could see a clear path up the first few hundred feet. The fog had started to lift. He had built a powerful engine of momentum in the darkest, busiest time of the year. The magic wasn't in any single action. The magic was in the unbroken chain of actions. It was the daily proof to himself that he was the kind of person who shows up. This is the psychological power of building in the dark. You're not just building a project, you're rebuilding your identity. You're becoming a person who follows through. So now I want to ask you, what's your mountain? What's that big, scary goal that's been sitting in the back of your mind? Maybe you want to write a book, learn to code, get in the best shape of your life, or start a side hustle. Whatever it is, I challenge you to start your own Dark Knight sprint. Don't wait for January 1st. Don't wait for the perfect time. The perfect time is a myth. Life will always be busy. There will always be distractions. The real opportunity is right now, in the imperfections of your current reality. Here's how you can start tonight. First, define your sprint. Give it a time frame. Let's say from now until the end of the month. A short, achievable window. Second, identify your one-brick action. What is the absolute smallest step you can take towards your goal? Not what you should do, but what you can do. If you want to write a book, Can you write one sentence? If you want to get fit, can you do one push-up? If you want to learn an instrument, can you watch one 2-minute tutorial? Make it so easy that it's almost impossible to say no. Third, commit to the chain. The goal isn't to build a skyscraper overnight. The goal is to not break the chain. Show up every single day and lay your one brick. Some days you'll feel inspired and lay 10 bricks. Other days, you'll be tired and just manage to lay that one tiny crumbly piece of a brick. Both are victories. Both keep the chain intact. Think about it if you start tonight. By the time the New Year's resolutions crowd is just getting started, you will have already built up a month's worth of unstoppable momentum. You won't be starting from zero. You'll be lapping everyone who's waiting for a magical date on the calendar. This process is about falling in love with the journey, not just the destination. Alex's journey didn't end in December. It's about finding satisfaction in the quiet, daily act of showing up for yourself. The world celebrates the finish line, but the real growth, the real transformation, happens in the dark, one step at a time. That was just the beginning. But the dark night sprint gave him the foundation and the belief he needed to keep climbing. He learned that progress isn't a highlight reel. It's a series of small, forgotten moments of effort. So what is your first step? What is the one tiny thing you are going to do tonight after you finish this video? Don't just think about it. Decide on it right now. Write it down if you have to. Your journey out of the fog doesn't start with a giant leap. It starts with one small, deliberate step into the dark. And I promise you, if you keep taking those steps, you will be amazed at where you find yourself when the sun comes up. Thank you so much for watching. If this resonated with you, let me know in the comments what your first one-brick action is going to be. Let's hold each other accountable. And if you want more content on building habits and achieving your goals, make sure to subscribe. Now go start your sprint.